Hi y'all, my name is Tapas and this is Eat, Read, Sleep, where we summarize books to save you time.
Oh yeah, so whether this is your first time catching the book or if this is a refresher on the book you've already read, welcome. My name is Kalina, and if you like what you see, we'd love your support through the thumb up like button below, and also pound that red subscribe button to show a little love for our hustle.
And speaking of hustle, how about we get to the hustler's guide of building your empire? That's right, we're talking about the biggest boss of all time. Not you, Kalina. I'm talking about the real big boss, Rick Ross, and his book, A Perfect Day to Boss Up. Rick Ross, aka Ricky Rose, aka @RichForever, is a rap icon. You may know him coming through the rap game with his song, Every Day I'm Hustling. He's also a business entrepreneur, and in the second published book of his, Ross pens down his boss commandments and shares stories of his own adversity and setbacks. He gives us readers a roadmap to building our own empire.
So let's get started with Rose and the Fungus. This book opens up to how Ross reevaluated his business strategy in the face of the fungus in 2020. In fact, Ross says it doesn't matter what's going on, even the most dire situation is just another opportunity to boss up. So with tours being canceled and holds on many business proceedings, Ross holed up in his cozy 235-acre estate in Georgia, the Promised Land, and starts planning his next moves, this book included. While other artists were going to be hit hard by the financial impact of the fungus, Ross was not worried. The boss is always ready for war. So even though he wasn't doing live shows and performances, which is the bulk of his income, Ross had many streams to fall back on. Alright, check this out guys. He's got Maybach Music Group, fast food franchises, wine and spirit industry, a line of potato chips and ramen noodles, wrap snacks. He's the New York Times best-selling author of the book Hurricanes and Memoir. He's got hair care, he's got men's grooming products line.
I got you.
Thank you.
He's a partner in a sports agency. He rents his home to the biggest film studios of motion pictures, and of course he owns a cannabis company.
Thanks T, I'm good now. I mean, that's quite a list. So the point is, even if one part of his operation goes bust, his foundation was always going to stand strong. And he casually mentions this is also how he's going to be rich forever.
For someone that's rich forever, you'd think he'd be more frivolous with his money. Although Ross has his vices like expensive cars and jewelry, he's also very careful with his investments and spending. In fact, his assets far outweigh his liabilities, and he never buys anything that he can't afford to buy twice. As much as of a big spender he is, he's a much bigger saver. Ross references as saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. And you know the boss is not crazy. He applies this when he looks around and sees people in the game who have gone broke because they didn't protect their finances, their brand, or their community. So what does a boss do? He learns from other people's mistakes so he doesn't have to make them himself.
Totally boss. Beyond saving money though, Ross talks about the struggle of chasing after something and developing tunnel vision. Tunnel vision can get you where you want to go faster and tune out distractions, but it's also a trap, and it's a trap that makes you lose sight of everything else that's going on around you. Ross says, there's always more to life than any singular thing you are chasing. And as a boss, you have to have the ability to see the bigger picture and adjust your plans according to circumstances and when priorities evolve. You can't have tunnel vision.
That's right, because if you have tunnel vision, you wouldn't know that the game ain't based on sympathy. That's chapter 2. During 2020, Ross could have easily taken a year off, but that would mean no money. So even if he had a good excuse, how would that excuse actually benefit him? Listen, the dangerous part of excuses is that they all make sense. But you still need to find your way because no one else is going to solve the problems for you. Nobody owes you. Come on. Anyway, at the end of the day, a legitimate excuse and a bad excuse serve the same purpose: to justify and minimize the amount of shame we feel for not figuring out a way to overcome the obstacles in our way.
Wait, so no matter how valid an excuse might seem, it doesn't mean anything?
Exactly. What separates the greats from the average is that they don't take the bait of a good excuse. That's the easy way out. And the goals don't care about your excuses either. Ross gets pretty clear here. Nobody gives an F about your excuses besides you. No one cares or wants to hear your shit. So go out there and find a way to win with the cards you're dealt. If you're waiting for the perfect opportunity to be presented to you in a gift wrap box with a red bow on top before pursuing your goals, you better find a nice leather recliner and get yourself comfortable because you're gonna be sitting on that waiting for the rest of your miserable life. Ross's words, not mine.
Well, it sounds like it's time to take action and get in the driver's seat. Let's talk about building that empire of yours brick by brick. Chapter 4. Start small and have a game plan first. Ross reminds us that being active doesn't translate to being effective or productive. He even paints us a picture. If your goal is to catch fish, the play isn't to run into the ocean and see how many of them you can grab with your hands. The play is to spend time building yourself a fishing rod first. This will take longer before you're even out in the water, but in the long run, you're going to catch a lot more fish than going in caveman style hunting with your bare hands. Before you earn, you have to learn.
That's right, because learning and having knowledge is equivalent to having game. And once you've acquired game, you're ready to get to work. This is when you start to get experience. This is when you should focus on sharpening your skills and mastering techniques, invest in your personal development and build your value up. And most importantly, Ross says, don't worry about money. At least not yet. Because when you become a specialist at something, that's when the money will start coming to you.
I absolutely love that.
Why? Because we don't make money?
That's right. Because we don't make any freaking money. So let me just connect with the book, okay, T? So if you're sitting where we are here at Eat, Read, Sleep with no money, that is, what do you do next? Ross says you set ambitious and challenging goals, celebrate small victories along the way, and embrace the 10,000 hour rule. Yes, guys, 10,000 freaking hours of practice is the key to success. So, T, how many hours do we have under our belts now?
Yeah, let's just say we're still practicing.
Well, that's okay. I'm actually loving the process. And I think Ross would agree that that's the best way to look at it. Money, fame, and prestige come and go, but when you put in the work and become great at something, nobody can ever take that away from you. You get to keep that forever.
That's right. The time that you put into practice is the key because the most precious resource on earth is time. Ross shares this in chapter 5. Time is the only thing in this world that we can't get more of, and once it's wasted, it's gone forever. So that means how you choose to spend your time is the most important decision you will ever have to make. This also means that we don't have time not to think like a boss. Even when you're at the bottom and it feels like a failure, you still have to be a boss of yourself. And the best way to be a boss of yourself is to be self-aware. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, take inventory of your resources, and most importantly, know how effectively you are spending your time.
Oh, that last part is so true. And that's because time management and resource allocation go hand in hand. So do this, the rosé inventory. Grab a pen and paper and jot down all the things that you spend your time and attention on every day. Weekday, weekends, like everything. You've got the good things, the not so good things, your day job, your side hustle, things like pursuing your education, your hobbies, relationships, exercising, sleeping in, going out on Friday nights, Netflix, scrolling through your ex's IG and posting subliminal messages to your story to get their attention. That's Ross's example. I certainly don't do that. Okay, so once you've listed all your stuff, break down how much time you spend on each and really be honest here because otherwise, in the words of DJ Khaled, congratulations, you played yourself. In 24 hours of your day, how are you spending your time and what is taking up your attention? After you've done this exercise, do it again. But this time, close your eyes and picture the best version of yourself, the upgraded, biggest boss version of yourself. Now, how does that person spend their time each day? What trade-offs and sacrifices are they willing to make? When you compare this side by side, you'll see where you need to trim the fat. You'll see the bad habits that you need to cut out. You'll even see the people that you might need to distance yourself from. You'll have a very clear sense of who you are and who you want to become. And the last part is hold yourself accountable. If you aren't willing to make changes, you shouldn't expect your situation to change. And one last thing, don't forget to be patient. Don't ever put a deadline on your dreams. There's no time limit, so smash that hourglass and make history. Along the way, moving chapter 6 over here, you have to set up your team to stand behind you. There are things that you can't do all by yourself, and there are things that you shouldn't do all by yourself. As a boss of your empire, you need people to make up the backbone. In fact, let's stick with that metaphor. Think of your backbone. It's made of many vertebrae, and if one of them is out of alignment, the whole body falls apart. You see how that applies? This means that the people you choose to surround yourself with is not a decision that you should take lightly. Your network affects your net worth. So pick the right team and empower your people. Okay, So we have our plan, we have our strategies, and we have our people. Let's get war ready. In case you're curious, no, you would not be able to walk up to the promised land and expect to just stroll on in. Ross has beefed up security in the form of bodyguards, guard dogs, and even a military-grade Humvee. And as a boss, Ross didn't do this in response to an incident. He did it in anticipation of future unforeseen circumstances. Ross tells us that in times of peace are when you prepare for battle. If you wait until you're under siege to see what's in your war chest, you're going to get slaughtered. But remember that being war ready is about being prepared for all things to come, including blessings, because once-in-a-lifetime opportunities are worthless if you're not in the right position to capitalize on it. Always be ready.
That reminds me of chapter 9 when Ross says, when it comes to being successful, your ambition and work ethic are more important assets than your God-given talent you're blessed with. And if you listen to his song, Triple Beam Dreams, Ross raps, Triple beam dreams, the ghetto is my reality. If I'm from where your hustle determines your salary. Yeah, remember the dream is free and the hustle is sold separately.
And speaking of separately, you better believe that you need to separate your emotions if you want to be a boss. In chapter 10, we talk about managing emotions. Be emotionally invested in everything that you do, but don't allow your emotions to dictate your decisions. Reacting to emotions usually leads to haste decisions that you may or may not be able to recover from. So take your time and get all the information first. Even consider yourself as the liability in the situation and ask, is there a more calm and well thought out response that you can provide?
In the next few chapters, Ross talks a lot about his personal manifestation and making things happen for you. In chapter 11, we learn that you should always view hustling as an opportunity, not as an obligation. Work is something you should love to do, not what you have to do. And that means it stays with you at all times. You don't take a break from it. You can't separate it from who you are. Then he moves to chapter 12, talking about continually learning. As a real boss always stays a student, regardless of how successful they've been doing things a certain way. Bosses welcome the change of the tide because they know that having the beginner's mindset will take them very far. If you don't keep up with the constantly changing world, you'll probably end up extinct.
Oh, chapter 13 and 14 are my favorite. We're talking about speaking things into existence and letting actions speak for you. Believing and speaking things into existence is something that Ross has practiced his whole life. He wrote songs about experiences even before he had them. He repped brands before going into business with them. Ross knows what he wants and he doesn't take no for an answer. By walking the walk, his actions does all the talking for him. And what's really important here is that Ross shares he would rather live with the disappointment of putting his all into something and coming up short versus living with the regrets of not even trying because he was afraid it wasn't even going to work out. So hold your head and your crown high, y'all. Go after what you want.
But make sure you go at it on your own pace and your own style. That's right, hustle your own way in which you are aligned with your authentic self and your own code of principles. And remember that you don't have to sacrifice your morals to become successful. In chapter 16, Ross tells us never to take advantage of people in order to move forward. Never lay your Jesus piece face down. What are you doing?
Handling my L's like a master. That's right, I'm in chapter 17 and I am comfortable with taking losses that come my way. Guys, in life, everyone comes up short. Everyone F's up. On the path to success, there will be failures and there will be setbacks. But it's not a loss if you learn from it, get better, and move forward.
And dig deeper, into your soul that is. In the final chapter of the book, you can always dig deeper. Ross opens up about his self-reflection and his desire to change the world. Now that he has everything, he's going to make it all mean something. Rick Ross, still bossing up.
I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far. Thank you all for joining us today as we covered rap mogul Rick Ross's newest book, The Perfect Day to Boss Up. If you're interested in this book, and you should be, get your own copy, including his first New York Times bestseller, Hurricanes, by hitting the links in the details below. And while you're down there, give us a like if you're gonna hustle hard like the boss that you are. Oh, and subscribe to us. Boss's orders. Planning his next moves, this book included. Hand me the book.
Oh.
Or do I just like do it like that? Yeah, I need. Oh, are you gonna throw? I'm gonna catch it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's practice it.
This book included. Jeez.
How am I gonna say this part? How does it go? Triple beam dreams together in my reality. Like, I don't want to offend him by like a brown guy trying to rap his lyrics. I'm like, I can't rap that. No shot.
35-acre estate in Georgia. The screen isn't moving, so I don't know what to say next. Product line. He's got... That's weird. Hair care and men's grooming products line. He's...
Here, I got you.
Maybach music.
Maybach music.
Maybach music. Maybach. Did I say Maybach or Maybach? Maybach. Why did you correct me this whole time? By clicking in the clicking the links in the detail. By hitting the links in the details.